I can't think about spending 50 years in prison. It scares me.
They have been in prison for nearly 35 years, that they have paid their debt to society.
Eric and Lyle Menendez are now one step closer to freedom, decades after the shocking murder of their parents. Just recently, Louisiana County District Attorney George Gascon recommended a resentencing of 50 years to life with the possibility of parole. What does this mean for the brothers? And how does their case really challenge our ideas about justice? Recommendation for resentencing. After 35 long years, the past is knocking on the door of justice. Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon has made a shocking announcement regarding Lyle and Eric Menendez, who have spent their entire adult lives behind bars. His recommendation for resentencing them to 50 years to life, with the possibility of parole, could soon change everything for these notorious figures. Are we ready to face what their release could mean for society at large, especially given the complexities of their case? The Menendez brothers were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for the horrific and shocking murder of their parents, Jose and Mary Menendez, in 1989. This crime, filled with grotesque details and an intense media frenzy, left many grappling with its complexities. Over the years, public opinion has shifted dramatically, reflecting broader societal changes. Many now argue that the original sentences were excessively harsh, especially considering the brothers were just teenagers at the time of the crime. With each passing year, the narrative surrounding their case has evolved, stirring discussions about redemption, accountability, and the possibility of personal change. Gascon's proposal reflects a significant shift in attitudes toward justice that is resonating throughout society. As we increasingly call for a more compassionate approach to crime and punishment, can we find a balance between holding individuals accountable and recognizing the potential for rehabilitation? The movement to reassess lengthy sentences has gained momentum, fueled by growing concerns about mass incarceration and the psychological impact of trauma on young offenders. Supporters of the Menendez brothers' resentencing highlight the importance of acknowledging their difficult upbringing, the traumatic events they endured, and the psychological factors that contributed to their actions. With the possibility of parole appearing, many are left to wonder how the public will respond if Lyle and Eric Menendez are indeed released. Will they find understanding and compassion in a society eager for justice? Or will the shadows of their past continue to haunt them, overshadowing any chance at a new beginning? As this story unfolds, it raises deep and pressing questions about the nature of justice, empathy, and the chance for a second chance at life for those who have committed grave offenses. The Menendez case is not just about two brothers. It's a reflection of the choices we make and the paths we walk. As discussions about their future gain traction, we are reminded that everyone carries a story, and sometimes those stories can lead to redemption. The outcome of this case could very well set a significant precedent for how society views young offenders and their capacity for change in the years to come. As the conversation around the Menendez brothers' future continues to unfold, it's essential to revisit the core of their defense, the allegations of abuse that have long shadowed their case. These claims are not mere details of a tragic past. They are integral to understanding the brothers' actions and motivations. Acknowledging this trauma could reshape the narrative surrounding them and challenge societal perceptions of male victims of abuse. This context is crucial as we explore the troubling implications of their allegations of abuse and the potential repercussions for both the brothers and society at large. In an era where justice is increasingly being scrutinized, the Menendez brothers' case stands at a crossroads, forcing us to reflect on our values and the systems we uphold. Abuse allegations. A chilling claim stands at the center of the Menendez brothers' story, the accusations of years of physical abuse and assault against their late father, Jose Menendez. This accusation is more than just a footnote in the trial. It is an important piece of a complex puzzle that has left the public stunned for years. How can a family that seems perfect on the surface hide such deep scars beneath? During their first trial, the brothers' claims of abuse were largely dismissed, with the statement that these claims were merely desperate attempts to justify the heinous murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. The prosecution built a case that painted a picture of cold-blooded killers, challenging the notion that familial bonds could be fraught with such horror. Many were skeptical. After all, it's difficult to accept that something so horrific could happen behind closed doors, in a home that appeared so typical and successful to the outside world. But when the case went to retrial, the atmosphere shifted significantly. allowing for a deeper exploration of the brothers' claims. Some evidence of the alleged abuse finally came to light, giving the public a glimpse into a darker side of their family life that had long been obscured by the facade of normalcy. Now, the recent comments of the LA District Attorney show that the world has started to acknowledge the effects of trauma, indicating a shift in how such cases are understood. This recognition suggests that the brothers' experiences should not be overlooked or dismissed when evaluating their actions, as they may have been driven by a desperate need to escape a hellish reality. What happens when the pain of the past collides with desperate choices in the present? This entire situation opens up important discussions about male victims of abuse. For years, society has primarily focused on female survivors, often ignoring the painful and harsh reality that men can also suffer in silence. The stigma surrounding male victimhood has kept many from coming forward, leaving countless stories untold and unaddressed. The heartbreaking truth is that many men carry the burden of their trauma alone, often feeling that they lack the support and understanding needed to heal. Research shows that men who experience abuse often feel overwhelming shame and isolation, which can make it incredibly difficult for them to seek help or support. The Menendez brothers' case sheds crucial light on this issue, demonstrating how vital it is to listen to and support male survivors. As more stories emerge, the conversation about abuse is evolving, fostering a better understanding of its complexities and the need for inclusivity in discussions surrounding trauma. Examining the claims made by the Menendez brothers encourages everyone to confront uncomfortable truths about trauma and its lasting effects on people and families. This case serves as a powerful reminder that anyone, regardless of gender, can be a victim of abuse. The story of the Menendez brothers isn't just about murder, often invisible scars left by abuse, and the urgent need for society to recognize and support all survivors, regardless of their gender or circumstances. The Menendez brothers' story continues to evolve, captivating audiences and sparking deeper conversations about trauma and abuse, making it clear that there is more to the narrative than meets the eye. As the complexities of their motivations come to light, it's clear that public perception is shifting in profound ways. What happens when we start to see individuals not just as perpetrators, but as products of their circumstances? This change is vital as it reveals a growing awareness and empathy toward those who have faced unimaginable hardships, highlighting the necessity of understanding the full context behind their actions. Such discussions are essential in creating a more compassionate society that supports healing and understanding for all survivors of abuse, changing public perception. The Menendez brothers' story has taken a dramatic turn in recent years, thanks to renewed media attention, especially through Netflix's Monsters series. What once seemed like a straightforward tale of cold-blooded murder is now being re-examined through a more sympathetic lens. The show has reignited public interest, focusing on the tragic family dynamics that led to the brutal killing of Lyle and Eric Menendez's parents. At the time of their trial, the brothers were painted as heartless killers, sparking outrage across the nation. News outlets portrayed them as monsters without mercy. But as new discussions unfold, more people are beginning to see their story differently. Could it be that these brothers were not just criminals, but also victims? Lyle and Eric have revealed that they suffered years of severe abuse from their parents, trauma that went far beyond physical pain, leaving deep emotional scars. This context has reshaped how people view their actions, creating space for empathy instead of pure condemnation. This shift in perception taps into a broader change in how society understands trauma. What drives someone to commit unthinkable acts? The Netflix series pushes viewers to look beyond the surface of criminal behavior and consider the personal battles behind it. Rather than blaming people entirely for their actions, there's growing recognition of how dysfunctional environments and unresolved trauma can lead to tragic outcomes. In the Menendez case, many are starting to see that Lyle and Eric were not just perpetrators, but also young men desperately trapped in a toxic cycle. The show has also ignited powerful conversations around justice, mental health, and the responsibilities of society. How often do we fail to intervene when people need help the most? It challenges us to think about what accountability really means, especially when abuse is part of the story. These deeper reflections are a crucial reminder that justice isn't just about punishment. It's also about understanding how violence often emerges from broken homes and untreated trauma. This changing narrative goes beyond the Menendez brothers. It reflects a wider shift toward acknowledging that people who commit crimes might also be carrying unbearable pain. As society begins to rethink crime and punishment, stories like theirs encourage us to look closer at how childhood trauma shapes behavior later in life. Can healing and transformation happen even after such devastating actions? The support Lyle and Eric have received from some family members points to the importance of relationships in the recovery process and raises hopes for redemption, even in the darkest situations. In the end, the evolving public perception of the Menendez brothers isn't just about two individuals. It's a call for a deeper understanding of human behavior. It reminds us that the root causes of violence must be addressed if we ever hope to prevent future tragedies. This shift in thinking urges us to approach justice in a way that not only holds people accountable, but also fosters environments where true healing can begin for victims, offenders, and those caught in between. Family support. The Menendez brothers' story continues to grip the world decades after the night that changed everything. Back in 1989, Lyle and Eric shocked America when they brutally murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in a brutal act that left the nation reeling. Over the years, this infamous case became more than just a tale of murder. It turned into a complex family drama filled with pain, betrayal, and unanswered questions. Now, new voices within the family are stepping up, asking for something few expected: forgiveness. One of the loudest is Kitty Menendez's 93-year-old sister, standing firmly by her nephews and offering a different perspective on the men they are today. Are the brothers the same lost boys they were back then? Family members insist they're not. They say that Lyle and Eric have spent their decades behind bars, evolving, learning, and healing. Prison, they argue, hasn't just been a punishment, it's been a path to transformation. The brothers took part in rehabilitation programs, confronted their troubled past, and worked to grow into better versions of themselves. Supporters now believe they deserve a second chance, proof that people can change, even after doing something unforgivable. But this isn't just about Lyle and Eric. It's about a family that never stopped carrying the weight of that tragic night. The pain didn't disappear when the media frenzy faded. The brothers' actions shattered their family, leaving scars that time alone couldn't heal. How do you rebuild relationships after something like this? Relatives like Kitty's sister believe that healing starts with empathy, and that includes understanding the trauma the brothers endured before they snapped. The Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, claimed that they acted out of fear after suffering years of abuse at the hands of their father. Lyle testified that the sexual abuse began when he was 6, and Eric recounted similar experiences as he grew older. They described how Jose manipulated and threatened them, asserting that they believed they had no choice but to kill him in self-defense. The case took a deeper turn when their cousin, Diane Vander Molen, came forward, stating that Lyle had confided in her about the abuse during their childhood. She attempted to inform Kitty, but was dismissed. On the contrary, other family members, like Milton Anderson, Kitty's brother, refuted the brothers' claims, arguing they were fabrications designed to excuse their actions. Adding to the complexity, former Menudo member Roy Rosello later accused Jose Menendez of sexually assaulting him during his teenage years, while Jose was an executive at RCA Records. Rosello's allegations claimed that the abuse occurred in Jose's home, reinforcing the narrative of a troubling family history. Despite the brothers' defense focusing on their trauma, the prosecution portrayed them as driven by greed, highlighting their rapid expenditure of $700,000 shortly after their parents' deaths. This narrative raised questions about the authenticity of their abuse claims and whether their violent actions could truly be justified. In the end, Lyle and Eric were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Their story continues to spark debate about trauma, family dynamics, and the complexities of justice, with documentaries like Menendez, plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Exploring these themes further, family members aren't just advocating for Lyle and Eric's freedom, they're making a larger point about the power of growth, forgiveness, and second chances. Can the weight of the past be lifted? This question lingers in every plea for their release, forcing people to confront uncomfortable truths about justice and redemption. Supporters believe this is about more than just two men in a prison cell. It's about healing an entire family that has lived under the shadow of loss for far too long. They argue that the brothers' growth proves that even the darkest moments in life can spark change. Releasing them, they say, isn't about excusing the crime. It's about recognizing that they are no longer the same people who committed it. But not everyone agrees. Should they be given another chance? The legal system, the media, and the public remain divided. Some argue that no amount of personal growth can undo what Lyle and Eric did, while others see their story as proof that rehabilitation can work, even for the most serious crimes. As the family fights for Lyle and Eric's release, this case has become more than just a courtroom debate. It's a powerful reflection on love, justice, and whether redemption is ever truly possible. The Menendez brothers' journey reminds us that the past doesn't have to define the future, and that forgiveness, though difficult, might be the only way to heal. Controversy surrounding the case. The controversy surrounding the resentencing of the Menendez brothers continues to stir emotions and spark debates, making it one of the most talked about cases in recent history. This situation isn't just a legal battle. It's a powerful story about family, trauma, and the quest for justice. On one hand, many people believe that Lyle and Eric Menendez deserve to stay in prison for the shocking murders of their parents, Jose and Mary Louise, in 1989. These critics argue that the brothers acted out of greed, planning the brutal killings rather than responding to abuse. They emphasize the horrific nature of the crime and its impact on the victim's family. Is it fair to overlook the suffering caused to those left behind? This viewpoint stresses that the boys' wealth and privilege should not shield them from the consequences of their actions. On the other side, a significant number of supporters highlight the traumatic childhood that shaped the Menendez brothers' lives. They argue that Lyle and Eric were not just criminals, but victims of a terrible upbringing filled with emotional and physical abuse. This perspective paints a more complicated picture, suggesting that their experiences should be considered in any discussion of their punishment. How much does our past shape who we become? Advocates for the brothers believe that acknowledging their trauma is essential to understanding their actions. This ongoing debate taps into larger conversations about justice and victimization in society. It forces us to confront tough questions. How do we balance the need for accountability with compassion for those who have suffered? The Menendez case illustrates the messy realities of family dynamics, where the lines between victim and perpetrator can become blurred. Many supporters feel that offering clemency could lead to healing, not just for the brothers, but for society as well. As discussions around this case continue, it serves as a powerful reminder of the complexities surrounding trauma, accountability, and the search for justice. It challenges us to consider the stories behind the headlines, forcing us to reflect on how we define justice and what it means to truly understand another person's pain. The Menendez brothers' situation remains a gripping narrative of family tragedy, leaving us to ponder the deeper truths about the lives we think we know. So what do you think about the possible resentencing? Do you think they are the real victims and deserve to be free? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found the video interesting, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Thanks for watching.